let's talk for a minute. If you know me, you probably know that book heraldry is not my thing. Nothing against it. I have all the respect in the world for book heralds, and I'm passable at book heraldry, but oh boy, I don't enjoy it. I can't translate. The visual's what kills me the most. These blazons, the strings of words that are half of them aren't even in English or one of the languages English is based off of, and I'm supposed to translate the string of words with a whole bunch of default assumptions into some semblance of a picture. My mind doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. And when I try and do blazons, I give myself a major headache. Like a major headache. It's one of those eye-crossing, temple-throbbing headaches. Now, some of you are asking, why did I take a local herald's office if I don't like blazon work? If I don't like, frankly, book heraldry in general. Names I'm not much better at, to be fair. It doesn't quite give me a headache, but I still don't like doing names research. And the answer now is I farm that out. I have deputies that are very good at book heraldry. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Because I got into book heraldry long before I became a heraldic officer. And I didn't pick an easy one either. So it was after archery practice. This is probably 10 years ago now. Actually, probably longer than that. And a good friend of mine, we all go out to eat at Taco Bell after archery practice back then. And she was talking about her submission. She wanted to turn it in. She had her badge drawn. And the herald had evidently said, everything looks good, just get it drawn up, get the form, and turn it in to me at the next meeting. Well, next meeting was the previous week there. And she went to turn it in, and another herald took a passing glance at it and said, this will never work, you have to redo it. Which, for her, who doesn't do heraldry day in and day out, who doesn't speak the language, who doesn't understand all the rules, nor should she have to, on top of feeling like it was a stab in the back, on top of feeling like heralds don't know what they're doing, it was just soul-crushing because she had her heart set on this and she'd been told that that badge was acceptable. And then another herald said, no, it's not. And she was frustrated. She was really frustrated. And we're having dinner together. There's a couple of us together after the practice. And I listened to her vent for a while, and I said, do you have the paperwork with you? And she hands me the paperwork. And as much as I'd love to say I looked at it and I was able to come up with some solution or intuit some answer, the drawing meant nothing to me. The blazon meant nothing to me. I didn't know any of the rules. I just said, I've got friends in the College of Heralds. Do you mind if I take a look for you? Maybe we can figure something out, figure out, if nothing else, what the actual status of this is before you turn it in or before you give up on it. And she said sure and handed it over. If I had known what I was getting into, I might not have ever said, that's not fair. At the end of the day, I'm a sucker for helping people out. But yeah, that submission turned into a rabbit trail that lasted almost 8 months. And I can sit in class all day and listen to Harold's lecture about how to do this, how to do that, and it doesn't stick, and I don't care, because I have no application for it. When are we ever going to use this isn't the least of my problems. It's I need application to make stuff work. Here, I was learning by asking questions. Like, I remember the first post I did. I sent a picture of it, and I said, okay, guys, new to this, help me out. What is this bumping into? What is the conflict here? Help me understand this. And I remember that post because the first 3 replies didn't even answer my question. they were all some flavor of go back to the client and have them redraw it. This will never work. Now, I may not be a herald, but when I ask you what's wrong with something and you tell me go and redraw it, I've got enough experience to know that's not actually answering my question. So I quickly established that when I ask a question, I'm going to ask for an answer. And I started pushing back, going, no, no, no. I'm not here talking about my client. I want to know what's wrong with these, chapter and verse. What rule does this violate? And that's when I started learning. And oh my God, I don't ever recommend learning heraldry via Facebook Instant Messenger. But I got to admit, that kind of worked for me because I had a lot of people who were helping me out. I remember at one point I was in an instant messenger chat with Mistress Sophia, Miss Sophia LaRousse out of Callantyre, who's my time zone. I had another chat going with a Armory Herald out of Lukuk, which is Australia. And at the exact same time as these other two, I had another one going from London, which is 6 hours behind me. So effectively half of the time zones in the globe were reached out to with this little instant messenger runaround. Got some great work done, but all that was unreal. And I'd say before it was done, I probably spent over 100 hours going through the SENA, Standards for Evaluation of Names in Armory. I talked to a dozen different heralds. I was looking through back copies of the Letter of Acceptance and Returns, LOAR, looking up old rulings on different heraldic rules and policies and exceptions, the exceptions I had to look up. I was doing all of the work I absolutely hated. And let's be clear, I didn't enjoy any of the actual work. Nothing drives me up the wall faster than the minutia of administration of paperwork. Oh my God, that I hate. But you know what I really enjoy is I really, really enjoy being able to take someone to help them out when they're in trouble, when they're in distress, when they're stressed out, whatever. I really, really enjoyed being able to help my friend understand what the issue was and help them fix it. Now, as much as I like to tell you we got it registered, it got bounced, and it got bounced for what I still think was an absolutely ridiculous reason, but that's me being spiteful, and I'll admit it. But if you ask me if I regret any of that, if I would do any of it differently, or if I would go back and farm it out to someone else just to save myself the stress, no. No, I wouldn't. I would have gone, if I had to do it over again, I'd do the exact same thing. I would drag myself through all of that. And you're going to ask, what's the relevance in all this? Why am I telling you all this other than to talk about my supposed accomplishment? Which, trust me, it wasn't an accomplishment. It was a growth point. It wasn't an accomplishment. We never got the damned heraldry registered. I'm telling you this because as much as we talk about the SCA is just a game, and it is, as much as we talk about we're here to have fun, and we are, there is a point where some of us do the stuff we hate because the end result is something we like or we want or we enjoy. And most of us are probably never going to tell you about that. We're never going to brag about it. We're never going to ask for recognition for it. That's not why we do it. It's we want that end result. We want to do the organization because we want this event to happen. We want to do the organizing because we want this website to look pretty. We want to do all of the book work so that our friend can have the heraldry that they wanted. And when you think about the SCA that way, when you think about everything that goes into the SCA, at least for me, it shed a little bit of light onto why some of the people I know do some of the stuff they do. Because I guarantee you, No one in the SCA I know enjoys or wants the punishment and the criticism that comes with being a kingdom seneschal. None of my friends, even the most ardent and belligerent of them, none of them are cocky enough to want that type of second guessing, which, for better or worse, comes with that job. No one wants the headache of officers never turning in their reports for the chronicler. And no one wants to have to track down all the local officers to get their reports. No one wants to have to track down all of the submissions for chronicler. So you have more in your monthly or quarterly newsletter than just a handful of bare bones submissions. No one wants to be the person making all the phone calls to get porta potties for the next event. My wife's done that. It stinks. I don't know anyone that really enjoys teardown on a cold day. We tolerate it, but if it was up to me, we'd just leave the damn tents and I'd buy a new one if I had the money. I don't, so I pick up the tents, but God, I hate teardown. But at the same time, getting everything loaded in the shed when you're finally done, damn, that feels good. Getting that website published, getting all the cool information laid out just right with good font and the good color scheme, yeah, that looks good. That feels good. Getting that document prepped and formatted just right, handing it over and watching someone read it, yeah, that's cool. Looking back at a field you just picked up all the trash from, yeah, picking up trash sucked, but looking back at that field and seeing it pristine and clean, yeah, that feels good. When you look at your leadership and you look at your friends and you see some of them are honestly miserable doing some of their jobs, they may very well be miserable. There's parts of every job, from the highest to lowest level, that is just not fun. I'm not going to pretend it is. But before you decide that job is all miserable, before you decide that that job is, something you never want to do, ask them why they do it. Because I'm really willing to bet a lot of them are going to have some story about how some aspect of that job, despite how boring or hard or trying or judgy or whatever that job may be, or that task may be, or that role may be, there's something there that makes it so at the end of the day, they get more out of that situation than they give to it. They take away more than is taken from them. That's the cool part. And that type of dynamic is what lets a lot of us tackle some of the tough jobs that not a lot of people want. Because we're able to find that one thing that we really enjoy, and that's our anchor point to tackle the tough stuff. So that's why a lot of us tackle jobs that we don't necessarily love. You're never going to hear me say, I love book heraldry. If you ever see that, I'm an imposter. Chain me up and figure out what they did with the real Ivo. But there are times I do it because it needs to be done. And as much as I don't enjoy the job, I want to see it done. I want to see the final result. I want to see the project finished. So yeah, that's part of what makes the game work. It's not never doing something you don't like doing. It's some of us latch onto the part we really enjoy just to spite the part we don't like. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed and I hope you take something away from this. I'll see you at the next event, but until then, goodbye and God bless.